Okay, so very important step to taking this top end apart on a 5SFE Toyota engine is to first, before you even unbolt these camshafts, if you have to take them out, you got this threaded hole here. This piece of dog fur. I don't know how that got there. You got this threaded hole right here. That is a 6x1 thread. You want to get a bolt that is at least an inch long, I'd say, and go into that hole all the way through and through the other side right there. And if you see that hole off the end of my finger, it's gonna go through there, and you want to make sure you actually have some threads protruding. So get yourself at least like a, I'd say at least 3/4 to an inch long bolt for that. And what that's gonna do by putting that bolt through there is, you notice this gear is split because this outer part of the gear can turn, and there's a spring inside of here that sets you preload for that cam gear, because what's going on is these teeth actually are not perfectly meshed together. The camera would focus you notice that there's actually, it's very, very minute, but you'll notice that these teeth are not perfectly lined up because what's going on is they're locked against the back one here. Back one, and they're actually, by being slightly off, they're locked against these. So these gears are locked into each other solid. There's no play between, like if I go to turn this back and forth, this gear is going to turn directly with it. There's not going to be any play in there because it's preloaded to that gear. There's spring tension that's basically causing these teeth almost like twist past each other in opposite directions, so they're locked that way to this gear, so there's no play in this. And by putting that bolt through there, you lock that preload, so you can take this gear, you can take this shaft out of here, and you want to keep that bolt in there the whole time it's out, because if you don't put that bolt in, or if you take it out before you put the camshaft back in and have it bolted down, that spring tension is going to flip this gear and you're going to lose preload, and then you'll have play in this gear and the whole shaft to go along with that, to where when you put this back together and you run it for a while, you have valve float and back, like, play in your backlash and everything else that's gonna cause engine, like, could even be catastrophic engine failure shortly down the line as you're driving. So you want to make sure you get a bolt through there. You want to make sure that you also, little obvious side note here, make sure you have timing divots. You have actually 2 of them in each gear, but if you pay close attention to which divots are perfectly together in the teeth here, when you have it lined up at top dead center, you pull the valve cover off and you look in here, make sure you got your number 1 cylinder at top dead center. Pay attention to your timing marks, to your harmonic balancer, and usually it's going to be like your lower ones here, the ones that are like further down the gear, because there's actually, you notice these 2 are perfectly lined up, and then you got a couple up here, which can't really see them all that well. You can kind of see the one right there, but there's also one right there too. But you want to go for the lower ones. If you notice the gray marks down here, you'll see those 2 divots that are kind of colored in. Those are the ones on this engine that'll line up on this 5SFE. So you want to make sure you get that bolt in there. Like I said, it's a 6x1, so probably going to be a 10 mil head on that to, guess for your average 6x1 bolt that I've ever used is usually a 10 millimeter head. On a quarter drive socket's fine, or quarter drive ratchet socket on a ratchet, and but yeah, you want to definitely need to make sure you do that. I mean, you don't, like I say, you don't need to like, if you want to shred your hand apart trying to get that gear back aligned with the preload, putting it back together, fine, but I would personally recommend putting a bolt through there because it's just smarter, it's a lot easier, and you don't have to worry about a thing as long as you have this completely bolted back in and locked together before you take that bolt back out, which, as you can see, I already did. Okay, so I just went ahead and actually put a bolt through there. That's actually one of the old bolts off the old water pump. And as you can see, I've actually got some threads protruding to the other side. That is what you need to do right there. Because that, when this is unbolted and comes out, these gears can't move anywhere because they're locked by that bolt. So, like I said, it's a 6x1, and there's what I believe this is a 10 mil on here. Yep, 10 millimeter. This, I do believe, granted I got a bearing cap in the way, but yeah. So, yep, 10 mil. So, there you go. But, yep, definitely an important step for that. Make sure you do that, and you should be fine. As long as, like I say, this is already bolted in, so I can go ahead and take this out of here. Yeah, it takes a bit to thread it in there, but you'll be miles ahead. And you just got engine grease all over my finger, but you know what? That's what you need to do when you reassemble these bad boys, because there you go. So, little demonstration for you. Like I say, I literally can't emphasize this enough. This is a very important step because I've even gone through YouTube and I've only found one video that says to do this. At least that's of the ones I looked at. There's only this the one with like PNW Vibe, I think is the name of the channel that talks about that when he's doing a head gasket. I could have that channel name wrong, but I think that's what it was. So also, yeah, check him out for that as well. And although he did soak the head bolts in oil before he put them in, I didn't personally do that, but I got my info from an ASE certified master tech, so not to sit there and brag, but I definitely take the advice of the professionals. So that's what I was told by a professional mechanic. I ain't no professional, but I at least know that much, and he also confirmed. So yeah, that is basically a conclusion to that part of the build.